Hi, my name is Barry Manandi and you're listening to the ZiFM Sport podcast.
The hottest station in the nation. ZiFM Stereo.
It's Lionel Messi! He scored! The goal the world wanted!
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
It's Neymar trying to feed it through. It's a stretch and it's in! And I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. Extraordinary scenes.
The biggest interviews.
It's more difficult. Obviously, it's more difficult.
And all the analysis right here.
If they play poorly, they come back, they've got all the excuses. You can't have it both ways.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
6:05 and FC Platinum has just kicked off their game against Horoya Athletic Club in Conakry, and they must win to keep their hopes alive of progressing to the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League. We'll also discuss the impact of coaching in women's tennis following the news that two-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka has split from the coach who has been a big part of her success, and it is back. In the beautiful game, we gear up for the UEFA Champions League, which returns tonight with round of 16 action. That all bodes well for a fantastic edition of ZiFM Sport, and the team to deliver it is also equally good. Mike Madoda, Mark Pozzo, Alois Bunjira, Sean Tafirinika, and me, Barry Manandi.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
IC Platinum coach Norman Mapeza says his charges will need to work extra hard if they want to come out with a positive in their CAF Champions League against Horoya A.C, which has just kicked off. The Zimbabwe champions must get a win to keep their chances of reaching the knockout stages alive. The Zimbabwe champions currently anchor Group B with 1 point and are yet to score a goal at this phase of the competition, where we can report that after 5 minutes they still haven't scored a goal. Thankfully, their opposition hasn't scored a goal either. The team that ran onto the pitch or trotted onto the pitch earlier Petros Mari in goal, William Steamer, Gift Bello, Lawrence Mhlanga, Kelvin Madzongwe, Elvis Moyo, Neva Tigere, Raman Kutsanzira, Albert Ionde, Charles Sibanda, and Edwin Madananga. That is the 11 that started for Norman Mapeza. 0-0 at the moment, and FC Platinum sorely need to score, and the only way to score is to be brave and have courage.
Yeah, absolutely, brave and have courage, but you can't afford to be reckless as well. For sure. Against a very plucky Horoya side, and we say plucky with a lot of respect, because a lot of people tend to forget that even though we had, of course, the heavyweights Esperance and Orlando Pirates put in Group B alongside FC Platinum, a lot of people forget that Horoya was in the quarterfinals of the last edition of the CAF Champions League, so there are no pushovers. And playing away, Norman Mapeza will, of course, be cautious from the onset, try and keep things tight, and then try and work their way into the game. You know, there's always, of course, that period at the start of the match where the home side enjoys a period of dominance, where they enjoy the possession, where they will test you out. They're driven by a vociferous home crowd. So Norman Mapeza will ensure that in these first 45 minutes that he keeps it tight, and if he can pick anything on the break, he'll do so.
We've noticed that coaches such as, and in particular, Rafa Benitez out in Newcastle seems to manage the game in sort of 20-minute segments, and that seems to be the approach that works for him. You're talking about the first 45 minutes being important. Is that the case, that he needs to just see out the first half, and then in the second half see what he can nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so, because what FC Platinum are looking for here is a victory, because of where they are, where they find themselves with just the solitary point from their first 3 matches. What they need is the 3 points that gets them back into the hunt for a quarterfinal slot. So victory by any margin will do for Norman Mapeza's charges. It's not about putting on a barnstorming performance and swashbuckling play where you're blowing blowing Horoya away on their own patch and beating them 4-0, 5-0, 5-1. No Mapeza, if they could win by half a goal this evening, he'll take that.
Because it'll give them all 3 points, Boss?
My question is, why have FC Platinum been struggling to score goals?
In essence, I would probably say that it's because of exactly what Mike has just mentioned. The fact that Norman Mapeza went into this competition, obviously for the experience, number one, but number two, also very cautious to make sure that he wasn't blown away by any of the opposition. I don't think he was under any illusion that he was playing anything less than the best in Africa, especially in Group B. So consequently, his approach was, let's keep it tight, let's make sure that we compete. And they competed against Orlando Pirates. The only thing is that mistakes were punished against Esperance, and then we then found were punished also against Horoya. So consequently, he's found himself in this position as a result of trying to be a little bit cautious, in my view.
Yeah, and maybe he's being too cautious, because it just goes back, Mike, to basically looking at our Castle Premier Soccer League, where we talk about it week in, week out. Teams just don't score goals.
Yeah, teams don't score goals, but and added to that, there's a struggle to score them locally against inferior opposition. Yes. And you're obviously going to struggle when you're up against the best, the continental elite, like Barry pointed out, Esperance, Horoya, who are in the quarterfinals of the last edition, as well as Orlando Pirates, who are making their way back into the competition, but we know that they are game competitors. So they needed to have gone in with players who are able to compete at that level. And Alois has pointed out repeatedly that because at least I think the only thing for FC Platinum that's going for them is that they've got another stab at the next edition of the CAF Champions League, and they can learn the lessons of this particular campaign. And one of the lessons that stands out is that they do not have the squad that can compete on the continent. Whilst that squad can dominate Zimbabwe football, that squad is unable to compete at the very elite level on the continent. So he needs to add, in my opinion, at least 3 players who give him that depth and who give him that experience in Africa, as opposed to looking to beat Highlanders, Dynamos, Ngezi Platinum Stars and Triangle, which he can do on any given day with the current squad that he has.
And those players are likely to come from the continent, aren't they, Alois? I don't think he can find those 3 players that are going to give him the impact that has been articulated locally. He's got to go onto the continent and see what he can get there.
Yeah, most definitely. We spoke about it. We don't have the kind of players that Mike is talking about. They are not here. The striker we're talking about is not here. The midfielder, we don't have. Look at the Orlando Pirates. Look at all the teams that are competing there. Orlando Pirates also rely on the continent. They have to go into the continent to look for those kind of players. Yes, exactly. So that's what, not purely Zimbabwean team to just go. We don't have that. Even Nigerian teams, you find a Nigerian team will have a Cameroonian here, they will have a Guinean there. That's what we
Mali,
need to do. Yes, that kind of thing. So that's what we need to start doing as well. We need to start infusing those guys to come and bolster our game. That's the only way we can develop.
Well, the other Group B encounter saw Pirates travel to Esperance. That match ending 2-0 in favor of Esperance, the defending champions, of course. And in another match played earlier, Simba Stars turning it around against Al Ahly, winning that match 1-0. Kudos to Simba Stars.
How is it, guys? Elvis Tibulayo Pomba Moyo, WPF.
This is The Bomb.
All Africa heavyweight champion 2-time. You are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Moving on with the rest of our local sports news roundup, we'll start in the boxing ring, where Zimbabwe heavyweight boxer Elvis Moyo aggravated his left wrist injury in his unanimous 10-round non-title victory against South African Ruan Visser on Sunday. The bout, promoted by Fifth Element Promotions and dubbed Battle of the Warriors, was Moyo's first boxing fight in 10 months, trading leather at a fully packed Sun Arena in Pretoria. South African Moyo was unlucky not to deliver a knockout on the South African. The Bulawayo bomber, though, said he needs 30,000 rand to undergo surgery on the wrist. To athletics, and local junior triathlete stars Andy Capers and Matt Denslow gave a good account of themselves after getting podium finishes at the Discovery World Cup Cape Town event in South Africa over the weekend. Capers was second in the girls under-19 category, claiming silver, while Denslow settled for bronze medal in the boys division. The Minister of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation, Kirsty Coventry, says they are excited about their bid to house the African Union Sports Council Region 5 Regional Museum. Coventry met with the AUSC Region 5 Chairman, Dr. Vitumpombai Veji, and Chief Executive Officer Stanley Matoya at her offices in Harare yesterday. The pair are in the country for a 2-day visit to induct the minister into the AUSC Region 5 family and see the bid done by Zimbabwe to house the regional museum.
In the Far East, there are many languages spoken, from the enchanting elephants in Thailand to the sizzling street food in Jakarta. The waves lapping on the shores of Bali and Phuket. Or a greeting from a new friend.
Ni hao.
Fly Emirates to 22 destinations across the Far East and pick up some new languages on your next holiday. Visit emirates.com. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
There we go again.
Enjoy world-class radio online. ZiFM Stereo is available on TuneIn. Search for ZiFM Stereo and you got it.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
The hashtag is ProFeedsTrivia. ProFeedsTrivia. If you want to take part in our daily trivia competition that comes up straight after our play of the day. 2 simple questions, 1 local, the other international. You need to get both correct to be in with a chance of winning this month's prize, which is a Capri double door fridge, courtesy of ProFeed. So get in on the action by sending in your hashtag ProFeedsTrivia on 0731 168 045. That's 0731 168 045. We have hit our international sports news segment, and tennis is the headliner. World number 1 Naomi Osaka has split from her coach Sasha Badgen just 17 days after completing back-to-back Grand Slam victories at the Australian Open. Hey everyone, I will no longer be working together with Sasha. I thank him for his work and wish him all the best in the future, the 21-year-old Japanese tweeted in a shock announcement. Badgen, a former hitting partner to Serena Williams, responded, "Thank you, Naomi. I wish you nothing but the best as well. What a ride that was. Thank you for letting me be part of this." No reason was given for the surprise decision to part ways, but Japanese media cited Osaka's management company IMG in reporting that there had been a breakdown in the player's relationship with the coach since the start of the year. So this is a very curious case, a very interesting one, because here is a coach as well as a player, Barry, who are parting ways at the pinnacle of the player's career when she's just achieved unprecedented success.
All right, let's look at their relationship. They linked up in 2017, enjoyed a fantastic breakthrough year, shooting from 72nd in the world to the top of the world rankings. My God, what went wrong? You can't understand it. It's a baffling decision. So you can only think to yourself that something relationally hasn't worked there. So consequently, they decided to walk in different ways, because I think chemistry is also a big thing about coaching as well, because it can't just be the technical ability of the coach or the player. It's got to be a relationship where you guys are in sync on several different levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, this is very different from team sport, because this is an individual player. And so your interactions with the coach are very personal, very intimate, very one-on-one. And therefore that chemistry and that good relationship is important and pivotal to your performances.
It's hugely important. I mean, that the coach and the player, I mean, they're virtually husband and wife. I mean, they do everything together. Yeah. But the more I read...
Not everything.
Not everything. Okay. 90% of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've lost my train of thought.
Sorry, mate.
What I'm trying to say is that reading into this, I see something to do with IMG here. IMG, yeah. And it's not the first time I've seen coaches and players splitting that have been managed, that the player has been managed by IMG.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's something in there that has sparked something that's irritated one of them. it's obviously Osaka that she's blown her top and said, right, well, that's it. But I don't know. I'm just reading into this in another direction.
And you could be right.
I mean, she was 72nd in the world.
Yeah.
The journey they've been on, she's the number one player in the world. She's won back-to-back Grand Slams. I mean,
WTA
really,
Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and for me, I think Paz may be onto something because I think this is a difference not between the player necessarily and the coach, but I think tension that probably has been ratcheted up by IMG as the managers. I think there's been a clash between the management company and the coach as to which direction player goes. So it's a power struggle as to who yields more influence, the ones that are giving you the money or the one who's training you for success. And ultimately, in this case, it looks like those, of course, that pay her are getting their way. Because ultimately, you know, every player is playing for money. Every player is playing for wealth and riches, and of course, for the sponsors, for the endorsements. And so I think that's where the tension lies, where Bajan had a different vision, different strategy as to how she progresses in a career, and obviously IMG are saying, you know what, listen, you are at the top of the game right now, we want you to do 1, 2, 3 things.
Yes, maximize.
Yeah, and maximize on where you are right now.
And that's a little bit of my problem, because that sort of a relationship becomes problematic, because it becomes almost a meat market relationship whereby IMG wants to milk her for all she's got while she's at the top of the game, without considering the fact that you could actually be cutting your nose to spite your face, on the basis that Bajan has been central.
That's what exactly they're doing.
Bajan has been central to the success of this girl, and now you're losing Bajan. Chances are there's gonna be a wobble, no doubt, no doubt. There's gonna be a wobble.
But they're looking at her and saying she's talented enough to achieve similar success or even more success
under anyone else,
even if she changed coaches. That's how they're looking at it.
And I don't believe it works that way. People, they don't realize the power of one individual that can turn things around. Even in team sport, one player can change everything. Maybe it's that particular coach that was giving it that
bringing out the
something,
best.
X factor. That X factor that the other ones won't have, and it's gonna die. Because it's not like she was blowing everybody away. You know, she was winning because maybe marginally, sometimes, you know, it's not like she was ahead of everybody else. Maybe that X factor is the one that was coming from the coach.
That was coming from the coach. And of course, Alois, they're talking about her blowing. She was not blowing everyone away. We totally agree and hope so, that she wasn't blowing everyone away. Mark Pozzo reckons that they do everything together. And
I didn't say everything. I said most things.
We hope that they don't do everything together. Certainly not blowing. Well, anyway, let's move on. With 8 different women winning the last 8 Grand Slam events, women's tennis has really been so unpredictable. The off-season did little to calm the turbulence, with many top players making changes to their coaching arrangements. Top-ranked Simona Halep and Darren Cahill ended their partnership. Angelique Kerber is no longer working with Wim Fissette. Sloane Stephens is currently on a break from her coach, Kamau Murray. And of course, we are
on a break.
On a break.
So it's literally what Paul's talked about. Husband and wife relation. I need a break from you.
Hey, some of these lead to things like that, eh?
Okay, now let's hear from tennis pundit Catherine Whitaker. Says that there could be an over-attribution of women's success to coaches in sport.
That worries me for Sloane Stephens. That really worries me. I think there's more attributing of women's success to the coaches, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone. And maybe I'm more uncomfortable with it because the coaches are inevitably men. But I do think in their instance, he was incredibly significant to her, and I don't know, the on a break thing, just the lack of stability that seems to be implied in that situation. So does that mean she can't look for another coach?
A very different take to what we've been getting in the studio from Catherine Whitaker. Now, another relationship that ended as well recently was that of Venus Williams with her coach, David Witt. They had been together for 11 years. And in an interview, Witt called the separation a total surprise. So there's a lot of turbulence right now in the women's game as far as coaches and players are concerned. This is ZiFM Sport, putting you on the pulse of everything you need to know in the world of sport. I guess one question mark would be, what are the latest women's rankings?
Okay, looking at the latest women's rankings, the number one player in the world currently is the lady we've been talking about.
The coachless Naomi Osaka.
The coachless Naomi Osaka. Petra Kvitova is number 2. Simona Halep is number 3. Sloane Stephens moves to number 4. Karolina Pliskova at 5. Angelique Kerber at 6. Elena Slitovina at 7. Kiki Bertens at 8. Anya Sabalenka at 9. And Caroline Wozniacki is the number 10 player in the world.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
In the West Indies, Joe Root's 16th Test century highlighted England's first day of complete dominance in an otherwise disappointing Caribbean campaign as the captain anchored his team to an unassailable position by the end of the third day of the third and final Test against the West Indies at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia. His workmanlike unbeaten 111 off 209 deliveries included just 9 boundaries and typified the tourists' effort to make amends for previous failures in reaching stumps at 325 for 4 in their second innings. An overall lead of 448 runs with 2 days still available to push for a consolation victory in the Test series. New Zealand All Blacks legend Ma Nonu says he was eyeing a Rugby World Cup comeback in Japan later this year, but he first needed to prove himself at Super Rugby level with the Blues. The two-time World Cup winner, aged 36, has returned from 3 years playing in Europe for his third stint with the Blues, where he will partner fellow veteran Sonny Bill Williams in the centres. The last of Nonu's 103 tests was New Zealand's 34-17 win over Australia in the 2015 World Cup final at Twickenham, and he was coy when quizzed about a return to international stage in Japan. In America, Tiger Woods is set to return to action at this week's Genesis Open at Riviera Country Club, and he'll have Rory McIlroy for company during the first 2 rounds. The long-running PGA Tour event has decided to group Woods and McIlroy together for the second year running, making it the 8th time in tour history the two golfers will tee it up alongside each other. Interestingly, in the 13 times they've started together, Woods has outscored McIlroy on 6 occasions, while McIlroy has earned bragging rights 5 times, including at last year's Genesis Open.
And just to bring you up to speed quickly with the latest from the third Test, it is lunch on day 4. West Indies are 35 for 4. They still require another 450 runs with 6 wickets remaining.
The Daily Sports Trivia question is brought to you by Profeeds. Profeeds, your feed and farm professionals.
It's competition time. Simply send us a WhatsApp message with the hashtag ProFeedsTrivia, and you could be the one lucky listener we call back. You'll field 2 questions, and if you get both correct, you'll be our daily winner and in with a chance of winning our fabulous first prize of 2019, a Capri double door 290-litre fridge, big enough to fit Pause and Barry inside, and maybe throw in Bunge as well for good measure.
Yeah, Bunge will go in the freezer.
Yeah, you'll freeze up.
Now, the first draw for this year will be on Friday, the 22nd of February.
Right, let's go to our lines, and we're going to Matari this evening, and we've got Ryan on the line. Hello, Ryan.
No, we don't.
We didn't have. We had Ryan. We don't have Ryan. We're going to try and get.
I hope he hasn't
run
out of air time.
I hope he. Well, no. Well, we're calling him.
That's a good point. That's a good point, isn't it?
Maybe it just could be the connection. It is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday.
He's running out of battery, perhaps, and maybe let me just take the opportunity, of course, just to give an update on that CAF Champions League game between FC Platinum and Horoya, the Zimbabwe champions, away in Guinea. And we can tell you that the match is currently goalless in the 35th minute, but there has been a booking for FC Platinum defender Lawrence Mohlanga, who received a caution in the 33rd minute, meaning, Barry, that they're going to have to be quite careful as he's one of the key defenders, especially on the road.
He is indeed, and I think that he was selected because of the fact that he then releases the midfield to play more rather than try to break things down. So he's going to conduct a lot of tackles, and given that scenario, he's going to have to be very, very careful.
2 other matches as well that are on right now. ASEC Mimosas hosting Mamelodi Sundowns. We can tell you it's currently goalless in that one. And Club Africain and TP Mazembe. Remember, Club Africain thumped 8 the other time. Right now, they are game competitors. It is goalless.
Okay, let's go to our line. Ryan from Matari, good evening and welcome to the ProFeeds Daily Sports Trivia.
Good evening, Port. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Right, first of all, Ryan, which football team do you support?
Manchester United.
Oh, sis.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So
you should have heard and seen the faces of the guys when you said Manchester United.
Okay, well, let's move on. Next question. What are you doing for Valentine's Day?
I'll be at work, so I think I will be... Hello?
Hello? Yeah, no, we got you loud and clear.
I'll be at work. I think I will start Valentine's Day at 6 p.m.
Okay. Right. Are you ready to go into the draw to win this amazing Capri double door 290-litre fridge? Right. Question number 1. In what year did FC Platinum first play in the Premier Soccer League? Was it 2010, 2011 or 2012?
2011.
Correct.
Well wow.
I like your
Fantastic.
work. Question number 2. Name the current world number 1 ladies tennis player.
Naomi Osaka.
You're my man.
You're the man.
Ryan from Matari, you will go into the draw to be in with a chance to win that Capri double door 290-litre fridge. 2 questions answered with great confidence. Have a great evening and enjoy your Valentine's Day, mate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, you take a tap in these circumstances.
The Daily Sports Trivia question was brought to you by Profeeds. Profeeds, the performance feed.
To all you Twitter heads, connect with ZiFM Stereo on twitter.com/ZiFM Stereo. /ZiFM Stereo.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
The captain likes the touch paper. It is blue touch paper. Always him on Derby Day.
All the stars.
Absolutely brilliant again from Mo Salah. The twinkling feet, the ice-cold finish, the Egyptian on fire.
And all the game-changing moments.
Aguero!
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
This is the league we want to watch.
Okay, before we get into the football news, guys, I guess I can make that Valentine's special announcement.
Let's hear.
Okay, now this is for all the men, all the guys out there, if you're listening, okay? We are offering a Valentine's special for just $500, okay? This is RTGS, so it's super cheap. We arrest you in front of your wife and then release you the day after Valentine's Day. It includes camping fee, fishing license, tent, boerewors and beer. We come in full police uniforms as well as blue lights to make it believable.
I'll pay $1,000.
Brilliant, exactly, yeah. Double.
Luckily, I'm going to a men's conference.
The famous men's conference.
Okay, let's get into the football news. Rafael Benitez says goalkeeper Martin Dubravka had to be stronger after Wolves' controversial late equaliser denied Newcastle victory at Molineux. Isaac Hayden's second-half strike left Newcastle on the brink of a third Premier League win in 5, but 2 points were snatched away in the 5th minute of stoppage time when Willie Bowley rose above Dubravka to nod home. Bowley had his arms over Dubravka as the pair competed in the air, but referee Graham Scott allowed the goal to stand. Let's hear from Rafael Benitez, who says Newcastle should have defended better.
Yeah, I think you have to be really disappointed the way that we concede in both games against this team. We conceded in the last minute after an elbow in the face of my player and a penalty not given, and then we concede today. You can analyze the way that we concede, but really disappointed to concede this way against a good team, to be fair. It was over the 94 minutes, so you can say too many things that will not change what happened, like we couldn't change what happened in the first game.
Rafael Benitez very disappointed with that equaliser at a number of levels. The first one being the fact that Newcastle weren't able to get 3 points, Alois, because he would have wanted 3 points just to create a bit of a buffer between him and the relegation places. Secondly, the manner in which the goal was conceded. First of all, the fact that it looked to be a foul for all intents and purposes. And then I think thirdly, if you took a look at the goalkeeper, the fact that should he have tried to catch that ball as opposed to punching it. So he could have actually avoided that situation altogether if he had just made the decision to punch it out. And then the fourth thing is, this is in the 5th minute of stoppage time when the referee has signaled 4 minutes. Where did the extra time come from?
Yeah, to start with, I think the decision from the goalkeeper was the wrong one. You know, in those situations, play it safe. Punch that ball, because we've seen keepers actually in those going into the net with the ball, trying to hold on to it. Just punch the thing and get away with it. It was already time up. You know, those few seconds would have come up with a scramble in the box. That scramble would have just killed the time. But anyway, that happened. But as for injury time, there is always injury time.
No, but having watched the added time, Alois, there were no delays, there were no stoppages, there were no injuries. And so for a referee then to add an extra 1.5 minutes on top of the 4 minutes,
it's always controversial. It's always controversial. Only the referee will have to explain where he got the minutes from. As we are watching, we might not know. Maybe communicated with linesmen, we communicated with.
We would want to know where he got it from.
We would want to know.
Yeah, because we watched the game and there were no stoppages.
Only the referee would tell us. But I actually think that Newcastle, never mind the 1.5 minutes, they could have managed
the game better
to go away with.
And they do say of refereeing that it's a minimum of, in this case, 4 minutes. That's they get away with that. But I agree with you that it's not right for you to say a minimum of 4 minutes and then you add a whole minute and a half on top of the 4 minutes that you've said. I can understand 30 seconds.
No, there's a moral argument there that comes into play.
Exactly.
If you're going to say yes, it's a minimum of, then why didn't you signal 5? Because it went over 5 minutes.
Agreed.
You don't signal 4 and then head towards 6 minutes.
Yes.
Because there's the moral argument, especially in light of the fact that there were no stoppages.
Yeah.
There was no delaying. There was no Newcastle keeper taking 30 seconds to take a goal kick, or 45 seconds. And so they could have felt hard done by regards
100%.
that. But in terms of Wolves, though, they are a team that have shown themselves to be capable of scoring late, because no other side has scored more goals after the 90th minute, in the Premier League this season than Wolves. They have scored 5. They are level with Manchester United and Cardiff.
Yeah.
So those are the teams that are scoring late goals.
Wolves has proved one thing for us this season, and it's no surprise that they're doing as well as they are. They are fighters. Nuno Espirito Santo has made them an absolutely fighting club. But not only do they fight, because you can think about old fighting clubs like Wimbledon and they're not a Wimbledon. This team actually plays, and they play.
They do play.
In 95, 98 minutes, they play right the way through.
Can I press pause?
Yeah.
Pause?
Yep.
Are you convinced they're going to survive now?
Did I not say they would survive?
No, you tipped them for relegation.
But Mike,
no, I couldn't have.
You did. You did, boss.
No.
When you're looking at those stats, Newcastle should have known that this is a team that has been scoring
in
critical phase. It's a critical phase.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying they could have managed this game better. And teams like that, Mike, the medicine that they want. When it's now injury time, attack them.
Yes.
How do they need that medicine? Yes.
Keep them back.
Keep the ball. Keep the ball and attack them.
Yeah.
Because once you sit back and try to defend in the dying minutes, they have the energy. They have the energy.
They'll come at you. Now, pause. How about the job that Rafa Benitez is doing at Newcastle in spite of the challenges, in spite of the lack of support? He has picked up 7 points from their last 4 Premier League games. He's won 2, drawn 1, lost 1, and that's 1 more than they managed in their previous 9 fixtures in the competition. So he's someone who seems to be getting a lot of purchase from this team that a lot of pundits out there think it's substandard.
Yeah, and I've always said that if you had to make a manager of the year, not from just because the team won the league, I would say Rafa Benitez should be the manager of the year, because he's been behind the 8 ball for his second season virtually now, with zero support, and he's used what he's had, and he's made good with it. And I've always rated him as a manager, and certainly. If he was to leave Newcastle United, it would certainly be a big blow for them as a club, because I believe Newcastle United would be relegated.
They'll tank, and
they would be relegated. But you know what? He would be any other club's gain.
Yeah.
Any other club in the Premiership, and Arsenal. He's the type of guy that I think maybe Arsenal should have looked at when Arsene Wenger left.
Yes.
You know, he's just that type of a manager. He's an organized manager.
And he's a gentleman.
He's a tactician. And he's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman. I mean, look at he came in when Newcastle was in the Premier League, tried to save them, wasn't able to do that. Went down with them, played in the Championship, got them promoted. They came back, and he said that he's not going anywhere.
He put on the overalls, and he did it.
Mike Ashley tells him, "I'm not giving you any money." What does he do? He just puts his head down, carries on with his work. I love this guy. I feel he's being treated.
If he leaves, he should get a bonus for leaving.
And I think also, of course, he's the type of manager that will not fail to find a job either in the English Premier League, Serie A, La Liga. He will certainly get a job somewhere. Let's take a look at the bottom of the English Premier League. Huddersfield Town, I think we can safely conclude that they will not be playing in the Premier League next season.
I said they would go down.
Fulham, they are also in trouble. You say they'd go down as well, isn't it, Fulham? They're also in trouble. They have 17 points, meaning that they're 7 points adrift of the last relegation place, which is occupied by Southampton in 18th place with 24 points. And then it gets pretty tight. Cardiff right up to Crystal Palace in 13th are separated by just 2 points. So it's heating up in the relegation dogfight, just as hot as it is at the top in the Premier League.
Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
Right to the Bundesliga, where Bayern Munich star James Rodriguez has laid down the gauntlet to Bundesliga leaders Borussia Dortmund after the title race took another twist on match day 21. After Bayern closed the gap between the two sides at the top of the table to 5 points, Rodriguez made it clear that he feels Dortmund are the team now under the most pressure in the title race, with the leaders still having to come to the Allianz Arena. Now, guys, Punch?
Yeah.
Rodriguez, outstanding. He played a pivotal role in their 3-1 win over Schalke on Saturday. Just after hours, Dortmund were held to a 3-3 draw with Hoffenheim. Do you see the pressure mounting on Dortmund now?
Yeah, it is pressure. You know, when you have a team like Bayern Munich with all the players that they have got, the talent, you know, the strength that they have got, and you're on top and they're closing the gap, it makes you start looking down and say, you know what, here they come again. But I think they should have the pedigree. It was bound to happen. One of the teams was going to drop a point here and there. I'm sure that Bayern Munich will also drop a point here and there as well. They just need to stay focused, like we talked about Liverpool. Win your games and keep going, because I don't think Bayern will win all their games as well. So it's just going to be a tipsy-tappy thing.
Yeah, I think so. I'm inclined to agree with you, Alois, because the situation or the place where Dortmund have put themselves in is a place where Bayern Munich have to be near perfect until the end of the season in order for them to win this title. They can't afford to make any mistakes. They can't afford to drop points. Borussia Dortmund still can drop points and still win the title.
Exactly.
And I think that's the important thing. It's similar as well to Liverpool. And a lot of people are saying, Man City has got the momentum, and that's great. But Liverpool have got a situation on their hands where Liverpool can still afford to lose one game and be level on points with Manchester City, with still 12-11 games to go in the season. So Borussia Dortmund, for me, they're in a good place. If you ask Bayern Munich where they would rather be right now, they'll say we'd rather be in Dortmund's place. Yeah.
Without doubt. I mean, and when you look at it, there's 6 matches for each side to play before they actually meet at the Allianz Arena on the 6th of April. So there's 18 points up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think can change everything.
Mike and Alois have pointed out the scenarios perfectly. The other scenario is that Borussia Dortmund merely needs to match Bayern Munich's results week in, week out until the end of the season, and they win the league. So if Bayern Munich loses and Dortmund loses, nothing changes. If they both win, if they both draw, if anyone wants to be anyone in this league, Borussia Dortmund are in the box seats.
Okay, so looking at the standings quickly at the top, Borussia Dortmund at the top of the summit on 50 points, 5 points clear of second place. Bayern, Borussia Mönchengladbach are in third on 42 points, and then it's a drop down to RB Leipzig in fourth place on 38. Down at the bottom, Nuremberg, they're struggling on 12 points. Hanover 96 on 14 points, and VB Stuttgart not having the best of seasons. They're there on 15 points.
Okay, like we said, the CAF Champions League is in full swing. Just to run through of the fixtures. Group A, Wydad Casablanca versus Lobi Stars of Nigeria. It's ASEC Mimosas versus Cote d'Ivoire versus Mamelodi Sundowns. You got a score update earlier from Mikey. In Group B, Esperance beat Orlando Pirates by 2-0. Orlando Pirates, of course, of South Africa. FC Platinum away to Horoya. That game is currently half-time. The score is 0-0. In Group C, Club African versus TP Mazembe. Simba Stars, as we said earlier, that game is currently 0-0. Club African and TP Mazembe. Simba Stars 1-0 win over Al Ahly. Very good result for the Tanzanians. And then Saoura takes on AS Vita Club, of course, of the DRC.
Zimbabwe's finest breed. ZiFM Stereo.
It's back. It's the UEFA Champions League, the Premier Cup competition in the world, and it's the round of 16, the knockout phase. It's big boy versus a big boy, the cream, all fighting for the 8 places that make the very top of the table in European football. There are 2 matches tonight, and at Old Trafford, Manchester United will take on PSG, the French champions, whilst at the Stadio Olimpico in the eternal city of Rome, the local boys, Roma, take on a Portuguese outfit, Porto. There's also action tomorrow. Dutch champions, Ajax will take on Real Madrid, the defending champions of the UEFA Champions League. And then at Wembley, Tottenham Hotspur will take on Borussia Dortmund, the current table toppers in Germany. And let's go to that big game at Old Trafford later on tonight. Thomas Tuchel insists Kylian Mbappe cannot be expected to fill the roles of Neymar and Edinson Cavani when PSG face United. The Ligue 1 champions and leaders visit Old Trafford tonight for the first leg of the much-anticipated Champions League last 16 tie, but will do so without the Brazilian ace Neymar as well as the Uruguayan hitman Cavani, who are sidelined with respective foot and hip injuries. France star Kylian Mbappe is therefore likely to be PSG's main hope of ensuring they leave England with at least an away goal to take back to the Parc des Princes for the second leg on the 16th of March. Now, ahead of the match, Coach Tuchel does not want the 20-year-old to alter his game to compensate for the absence of his usual attacking partners. Let's hear from the German.
We have our identity as a team, of course, and it's not easy to change a team's identity. Obviously, we're going to be missing a couple of key players and key attackers. That's obvious. It's clear to everyone, including me, that you don't change your identity for that reason. I don't know if it's the right time to change our identity. You know, we have a tradition. We play offensive football, attacking football. We are PSG. That's how we used to play, as it were.
We have a tradition, we have a culture of playing offensive football. We are PSG. That's the declaration coming in from Tuchel, Barry. But United will be happy that they don't have to face Neymar and Cavani.
Absolutely. As Bunj was saying earlier in the studio, that the Manchester United gods are smiling on Manchester United, because to not have those two gives there a chance for that Man United defence to close out PSG tonight, and they'll need to do that. Not permit them to have an away goal, or else this tie could be very tricky.
It could be a very tricky affair, this one, Alois, because when the draw was made in December, few gave Jose Mourinho's United much of a chance of advancing in the Champions League. It was under Mourinho then, it's under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now. The team is high on confidence, doing very well in the local competitions in the English Premier League. But this will be another test for United's revival, because this is up against one of the big boys on the continent.
Yeah, of course, you know, when it was Jose Mourinho at that time, everybody thought, you know what, the team is not doing well. Even all of us, we thought PSG are just going to walk all over us. But because of the resurgence, because of the recent results, there is some hope. Like you say now, there is more confidence in the team that is trotting out at Manchester United right now. So they might fancy their chances, you know. And plus, like Barry said, the goals are smiling. Neymar is not there. Cavani is not there. Because the, you know, two-legged affairs, it's the away goal that is the biggest dangerous animal
So the key is for United not to concede that away goal. Do they have the defense though? When you take a look at Smalling, when you take a look at Bailly, when you take a look at Phil Jones, and you take a look at Lindelof, do they give you the confidence, first of all, their ability, and then secondly their form, their recent form, that they can keep a clean sheet?
No, I don't trust Manchester United defense. Why? Because they give strikers chances to go one-on-one with the goalkeeper all the time. They let them take shots, even from inside the box. De Gea is always saving. He's a shot stopper.
He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, because a lot of shots are being taken towards him. So they tend to let strikers off the hook. That is why I'm happy that Neymar and Cavani, those are deadly. They finish off well. But I'm not. I would be happy if we keep a clean sheet. But I don't trust the defense at all.
And now, before we get to the predictions, Paz, I want to hear this from you, because there's been a talk about Kylian Mbappe. A lot of articles written, a lot of column inches about this young man, how great he is, that he's the heir apparent to Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Surely on a night like tonight is when those credentials will be questioned. Can he carry PSG? Can he inspire PSG in the absence of Neymar and Cavani? Can he put on a show and really announce to the world that, you know what, I'm not about other players around me, I'm my own man?
Yeah, he's got to put on a show tonight that I'm Kylian Mbappe and this is my welcome to world football, without having Neymar and Cavani behind him or in the same team. He needs to come forward tonight. He needs to serve up the start of the main course and the dessert in 90 minutes tonight and show the world who he really is. And it's going to be really important that he can do that. If he doesn't do that tonight for me, well, then
because
he's average.
We've seen enough of those players, promising players. But for me,
we've seen them come and we've seen them go.
We've seen them come and we've seen them go. And so for me, I'm still waiting to see him play by himself and inspire a team and do well and carry a team, and it's set up nicely for him in this game.
Thomas Tuchel is making the right sort of noises, but he's got to set the stage like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to the predictions, guys. Alois.
Manchester United 2-0.
It's obvious.
Manchester United 2-0.
Yeah.
Pause.
I'll go PSG 3-1.
3-1 to PSG. Okay.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Manchester United.
2-1 to Manchester United. Okay. I'm going with 2-1 to PSG at Old Trafford.
Right, one other game tonight. Roma head coach Eusebio Di Francesco has stressed the importance of preventing Porto from scoring an away in their Champions League last 16 tie tonight. Last season's semi-finalist Roma welcomed Porto to the Stadio Olimpico, looking for a timely boost in what's proved to be a frustrating domestic campaign. And don't forget, Roma have never beaten Porto in European competitions. 2 draws, 2 losses, eliminated by the Portuguese side in both previous 2 legs encounters. You could say that they should do the business tonight.
Yeah, they should do the business, and it will be, I don't know. Roma inconsistent, Porto themselves not too convincing.
But Champions League, I don't know why it is. Roma just seem to arrive on the big day.
They arrive. And when I read the draw, I didn't even see any problem for Roma here. I think they're just gonna walk through it.
We're done for the day. We're out of time. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
Be sure to catch ZiFM Sport every weekday on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.